Assalamu alaikum. This is Pasha, author of The Double Cross. You already know what I said about the double cross. That's a metaphor. Well, y'all, several house niggas in Virginia, police uniform, and 3 dressed as medical assistants have struck again. This time murdering one of our mentally ill brothers in what his mother described as torture after watching the videotape of her son's murder. Ervo Odino was arrested without his meds. His family at the scene repeatedly told the arrested house niggas that he needed his meds, but were ignored. The Southern House nigga Virginia deputies included 1 female. They all tortured our brother, then piled on him for 12 minutes, taking turns placing their knees on his neck until he was dead. 3 minutes longer than what the white cop did to George Floyd. Like I said, house niggas always try to outdo their hero, the white man. Ervo was stripped naked and left in a cold cell, handcuffed and shackled. They maced him, punched him in his face and body, then pulled his hair, all before piling on top to smother him to death. And guess what? They wrote a false police report filled with lies. They wiped the handcuffs they tortured him with clean, then waiting 3 hours before reporting his death to the state authorities. It took that long to get this. White prosecutor came before the major news outlet and stated that she had never seen anything like this. Why? Because house niggas filled with rage, with hate for themselves, almost every time murder their own in inhumane, unspeakable fashions. We see this every day in the streets across America. And they don't lose any sleep over taking the lives of the innocent passing by or standing in the area. Black children, our parents, our grandparents, shooting through their homes. But you know what? You don't hear? You never hear about them shooting up someone's white home like that. They're killing innocent white bystanders or their parents or their grandparents because they feel that white life is of a higher value than black life. Yes, they are dumb, but they are not calmed down. The Virginia prosecutor says that 3 house niggas dressed as medical staff are also seen in the video going in and out of the room where our brother was murdered. And not one stopped to help or check on him. They just kept walking as if nothing was happening. So she charged all 10 of these house niggas with second-degree murder. The house nigga has to go. This is the double cross. So naturally, we all claim that Ervo was combating. They also claim that there was a rush to judgment. This after Ervo's mother and lawyer viewed the case and told the media her son was compliant and calm. And yet these house niggas in position of authority misused the power of the uniform, as they did when we were on the plantation. The house niggas then whipped us the hardest. They issued out the most severe punishment. For us, that meant weeks locked, standing up in a box or buried underground, especially if Miss Ann or Massa was watching. And having been at 10 different prisons here in Ohio, the state of Ohio, I can honestly say that the black house nigga guards are worse than the white prisons. Ohio is full of this. The state is only 12% black. Some of the guards I knew at one of the prisons in Mansfield, both men and women, as a young kid. All of them treated me like a stranger. Not one of them done anything for me. And one, a lieutenant named Ricky Menard, grew up with my stepbrother, Raymond Douglas, and would come with him over to my clubhouse, smoke weed, drink beer. In fact, the woman he is still with today, who gave him his children and introduced him, I introduced him to her in 1978 or 79. And yes, the house nigga inside him overruled all of that, and he allowed me to be repeatedly locked in isolation. Never once coming to see me or assist me in any way. Oh, wait. He did come to the whole scene once after I sent him a kite and told him that when I got out of prison, I was going to stump his brains out. A week later, he had two guards take me out of my cell, handcuffed and shackled, and then they took me to a room where he was waiting. And after they stepped out, he asked me very aggressively, "Did you write this?" I said, "That's my name on it, ain't it?" All of a sudden, all the fake, tough house nigga disappeared. And he said, "Oh, Rob, how you gonna play me?" I wasn't inmate Davenport. I wasn't the guy whom he neglected all this time. All of a sudden, I was the friend. The guy, no. His memory of my sin, what I mean, in my level of violence, temporarily interrupted his Sambo act. People who have been powerless their entire life are always the worst when given power, especially when they can inflict pain, punishment, or death on others. In this Ohio prison system, since my arrival, I can count on my hand the number of inmates killed by other inmates. There is no code in Ohio like in all the other prisons across the country. Here, snitches vastly outnumber non-rats. And 63% of all white prisoners are pedophiles. They walk around at every prison in the state without a concern for their well-being. In Ohio, the biggest killer of inmates are the guards. They routinely hang inmates and write it up that they harm themselves. The prison officials, the police, and the prosecutors go along with this and aid in the cover-up. National coverage was given to the guy Castro in Cleveland that kidnapped the 3 young girls and kept them hostage for 2 years. As soon as he landed in the reception center, he was beaten, then hung. The admin staff member that knew for sure that he had been murdered, she was made a warden at another prison within weeks of his death for her silence, then given early retirement after 2 years. House nigga guards did that for the master. I know because one of my Muslim brothers was a cadre working in the block, and he said the word. In the 70s, comedian Richard Pryor made jokes about black police having to beat up more niggas to keep their jobs. And this is at the heart of the problem for us. A lot of blacks still have the desire to outperform the white man. The reasons why are simple, and so is the solution. Why is because ignorant blacks look up to the white man. They want to please him. He's their example for most things. They have not taken the time to learn about him or themselves. When most blacks, another black calling himself or herself the Hebrew, they laugh. They think him or she crazy because in their mind, Hebrews are white only. They have not studied, so they do not know that the Romans renamed the country Palestine when they invaded it in the 2nd century. The country's original name is Judea. The people living there today are the descendants of the Messiah, and they are not white. They are not Europeans. The invaders who have taken over the country are white Europeans that came from Europe and named themselves the children of Israel. Jacob, whose name was changed by God. But Jacob did not have any white children. So the solution is to find another hero, to find some. How about God himself? Instead of a man who has made himself a God, because at one point in the evolution of the world, he had done everything to please himself. There were many before him, black, brown, red, and yellow, that also had their way. At some point, we have to ask the question, is change possible for the house leader? Because it seems as though no matter how many strides we have made in the evolution of ourselves, he or she always shows up at the worst of times at some pivotal junction of black and white to aid the white man or his agenda. Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley did a joint news interview after the murder of Breonna Taylor. They both justified her murder in her own home because she shot at the police. This was their silly reason. In the house nigger's mind, the police can do no wrong. The fact that the police lied to get a search warrant for her house, that they broke into her home in the middle of the night, that they didn't announce themselves, means nothing. What's crazy is that our brother Ervo had been diagnosed with mental illness and had been prescribed medication. But the ones actually needing meds and diagnoses are the house niggas that murdered him. The house niggas that took advantage of his mental condition because of their own mental condition. Think that crazy? Honestly, I do not see any relief in sight because the conditions for the creation of the house nigga still exist. And his mental, psychological examination has not yet been attempted. He or she are allowed to run free. They are a tool for the white man and an embarrassment for our black nation. They hate who they are, but are too cowardly to kill themselves. So they kill everything else that reminds them of themselves. When you look into the eyes of these clowns in their mugshots, you see nothing but emptiness. They can't even explain why they beat Ervo like they did, or why they smothered him using the knee on the neck technique used to murder George. Of course they see it. The whole world sees it. And while most of the world viewed it as inhumane and hateful, the house niggas decided to add it to their arsenal for the killing of their own. And let's not forget about the house nigga in the medical staff uniforms that decided to allow Ervo to be beaten and suffocated. All those hours of medical training, testing, and practical application thrown out the window. The oath to protect life doesn't apply to our lives when they feel that they can get away with killing us or allowing us to be killed. We may have to rethink the entire idea of having death of our hospital death rates being higher than whites because of whites, and consider the house nigga as the culprit. We know white doctors and nurses purposely destroy black life, and we know that the house nigga is aware of this. and that they have always been to outperform their master. They might be the source of our murder in the hospitals. Now, two incidents within weeks of each other. Two innocent, non-combatant black men are murdered by house leaders in police uniforms. And medical personnel at both scenes turn a blind eye. That is not a coincidence. It's the program. It's the programming. This is the double cross. Assalamu alaikum.